Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Mark Dennis, and this is part 2 of our Week 3 live chat for Finance 4126, Financial Decision Making and Planning. Or I suppose we could reverse that and call it Financial Planning and Decision Making. Either way, in this session we are going to cover or continue covering some key concepts from chapters 11 through 15. Here we continue our exploration into the building blocks of financial security, insurance, retirement planning, taxation, and even some basics of estate planning. Each of these topics plays a critical role in shaping our long-term financial well-being. As always, our goal is to tie the theory directly to practical personal financial planning strategies. Let's begin this segment with a look at retirement planning. Retirement planning is a multi-step process that starts with understanding key issues, setting some realistic goals, and evaluating the structures available. Things like pensions, annuities, Social Security, 401ks, IRAs, and so forth. From there, we assess the risks, develop an investment policy, calculate the amount of funding needed, and then implement and monitor the plan. In a way, the retirement planning segment is very much a miniaturized version of the overall financial planning process. Retirement is much more than simply leaving the workforce. It is a financial and a lifestyle transition. Public support for retirees has grown over the years, and of course, so has the cost. The average retirement age has dropped somewhat over the decades, creating longer retirements that must be funded by fewer working years and potentially fewer sources of income. The number of retirees continues to grow. This, of course, creates a larger strain on Social Security and the Medicare system. At the same time, with healthcare costs outpacing inflation, this poses real challenges for retirees who are living on fixed incomes or relying on limited government support. Pensions are also part of the retirement structure, and these elements provide steady income during retirement. While traditional defined benefit plans, also known as pensions, are less common today, they do still exist, particularly in government jobs. Most private sector plans have shifted to defined contribution formats, such as 401ks, or their equivalent 403bs. Understanding the type of pension and how it's funded is essential for accurate retirement projections. Let's consider a basic process for analyzing retirement needs. We start by reviewing goals, identifying risks, and determining key assumptions like rates of return and retirement age. Then we develop income and expense projections, calculate the lump sum needed, and reconcile those with assets already available. The final steps are to project savings needs and implement an appropriate plan. At this stage, we make sure the retirement goals we have identified are aligned with client values and expectations. desired retirement age, lifestyle choices, and any legacy goals, such as leaving money to children or charities, should be clearly documented. These goals directly impact the numbers used in the overall financial plan. Risks that can derail retirement plans include outliving your money, unexpected expenses, health events, and inflation. Each person's tolerance for risk will influence how conservative or aggressive their retirement strategy needs to be. Understanding and qualifying or quantifying these risks is certainly crucial. It's important to use realistic assumptions about rates of return as well as inflation. These assumptions will vary depending on whether we are in the pre-retirement or post-retirement phase and what the asset allocation looks like. All rates should be expressed in after-tax terms in order to get a more accurate estimate of future purchasing power. When people retire, their income sources shift. Job earnings go away, and they are replaced by Social Security, pensions, investment income, and sometimes part-time work. Expenses may decline in some areas, but increase in others, like healthcare or travel. Understanding this shift is key to building a sustainable income strategy for retirement. Most retirees will need to withdraw from investment accounts, and the timing and size of those withdrawals matter. Inflation can erode purchasing power, and if returns are poor or volatility is high early on in retirement, the risk of running out of money increases significantly. Withdrawal planning needs to be proactive rather than reactive. Here we see a breakdown of where retirees typically get their income. Social Security remains the largest source for most, followed by personal savings and then pensions. This highlights the importance of maximizing Social Security and building a solid base of personal retirement assets. Now it's time to do a little math. Once we've estimated the retirement income gap, we can calculate the total lump sum needed at retirement. From there, we compare this to the assets we expect to have at that time. If there's a shortfall, and there almost always is, we determine how much must be saved each year in order to make up the difference. Next, let's take a look at taxes. Taxes affect almost every area of one's financial plan, whether it's income, investing, borrowing, or insurance. Taxes must be factored in. They're non-discretionary, which means we can't simply ignore them. We absolutely have to manage tax liability. Here are some specific examples. Taxes impact when we realize income, how we measure investment returns, the cost of borrowing, and whether certain benefits like insurance are even worth it. Qualified retirement accounts like 401ks can offer significant tax advantages, and estate planning is often centered around minimizing taxes. Estate planning is about protecting the people and the causes we care about after we're gone. It's not only for the wealthy. Everyone should have a good plan in place. We'll go into more detail later on, but it's important to introduce this now as a forward-looking part of financial planning. Estate planning is the process of deciding how assets will be distributed if you die or become incapacitated. The goal is to protect your wishes, minimize taxes, and provide clarity and comfort to your loved ones. Whether the estate is large or small, everyone needs an estate plan. Finally, let's discuss briefly estate taxes. The federal estate tax exemption is now nearly $13 million per person, so most people will not face this tax. However, laws can change and state-level estate taxes may still apply. Knowing the limits and the options is an important part of long-term planning. This wraps up part 2 of our week 3 live chat. As always, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always reach me via email or phone, and calling or texting is just fine. I look forward to continuing the learning process with our next live chat segment.